and welcome to the Hawaii Cyber Lions Club conversation. My name is Lion Chris Lumley. I'm joined today by Lion Loyal Merhoff and our special guest, Leona Larkin from the Pantry to discuss the food distribution operations from the Pantry. Leona, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Loyal. Nice meeting you guys. Well, seeing you again, Chris, actually, and meeting you, Loyal.
Yes.
So before I turn it over to you, I just want to remind everybody watching via YouTube that we would greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button somewhere down there somewhere, and the subscribe button somewhere down there also. That would help us a lot with the YouTube algorithm. That's it. I'll turn it over to Leona now to kind of take us through, I guess, what the Pantry does, everything about it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Chris, for having me. And hi, everyone. I didn't realize we were also on YouTube, so, hey. So basically, the Pantry is a nonprofit food distribution organization that's actually been in business for, I think, a little bit over 20 years now. Started by two pastors who, under the umbrella of Feeding Hawaii Together. And as it exists now, the Pantry is maybe like a year and 4 months old. Yeah, I think 4 months old. And we are currently based in Kalihi, right actually next door to Fort Shafter. And basically what we do is we operate on an e-commerce platform. So our clients are the food insecure population of Hawaii, and they are able to log on to our website, thepantry.org, and actually select the items that they would like to be given for on our distribution days. Select those items. Each member of a family is allowed to select 10 items. So they choose what they want, and then they are able to pick it up after maybe 2 or 3 days, which gives us time to fulfill the order, and then they can come and pick it up. And so basically we have two kind of volunteer days. Mondays and Thursdays at the moment are dedicated to fulfilling orders. And those are pretty short, quiet days. We have maybe about 15, 16 odd people who come in and help us with that. And they fill anywhere from, trying to do the math in my head right quick, it's probably about 100, 150 odd, depending on if we have a backlog, if we're really busy on our distribution days. They fill about that many orders. Takes about 2-3-ish hours we budget for. It can be quick, it can be depending on how much we have, of course. And then the Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I believe, Chris, you came on a Tuesday. Those are our very busy days. Those are distribution days. And that is actually when we're handing the food out to our clients. So we have two different types of clients that come to see us. We have people who actually walk, they take the bus, neighbors in Kalihi who come by, pick up food. And we have, of course, people who pick up for family members or neighbors. What I found very interesting when I joined the organization, so I've been here exactly 2 months, like this is my 2-month anniversary. So what I found very interesting, though, was that a majority of the population that we serve actually comes from the West Side. I always assumed it was, more Kalihi area, Honolulu, downtown, but actually it's all West Side. So what I would notice as I volunteer, because I volunteered before I started working here, what I noticed as a volunteer is that we had cars that would pull up with sometimes like 5-6 orders. And I never understood, why that was until I understood that actually it's just a transportation issue. Some people just cannot get here. And so they do, they have friends, they have family who come by and pick up, neighbors come by and pick up. And also what I love about this place too is for people who don't have access to the internet for whatever reason, we actually have admin volunteers who help to actually walk them through. So give them a call and help them place orders so that they're also able to, get the food that they desperately need. Very beautiful organization. Oh, and before I forget, I have to tell you about the distribution days. So outside of that, distribution days also are about giving fresh produce. So we've partnered with various organizations to try to give our clients a balanced meal. So what we're packing on the shopping days is more your staples, canned goods, dry goods, things that can sit on a shelf for a few days without, going off. And then we have fresh produce that gets delivered, I think, about twice a week. And that we package if we need to package to hand out to our clients. So we try to make sure that it's a, nutritious offering, not just, rice or Spam or luncheon meat or something like that.
So the all the food that you guys end up distributing, where do you guys get them from? Let me kind of expand the question a little bit.
Okay.
Is do you just like directly purchase the food from from the retailers and then use to distribute, or or the food is the food rather donated or purchased or
Hmm. It's a mix of both. So sometimes we have people who just come by and drop off food, randomly, which is great. We have partners who have food drives and they help us out with that as well. But a lot of it is from different organizations that we've partnered with. So we do purchase a lot of the food that we have. And that's what helps us with being able to sell it so that our clients can go online and choose. Typically what we do with the stuff that we receive from food drives, because it's not a big enough quantity for us to put on sale, because it's all different stuff, right? We use that to actually help with what we call substitution boxes. So sometimes we will have a client who will come by, excuse me, either with an old order number or there's some sort of an issue and they don't physically have an order that we can give them that they have ordered themselves. So we use those kind of items to create substitution boxes so that even if you come here and there's an issue of whatever kind, you're still leaving with something to eat that'll tide you over for the week. So even those boxes, we try to make sure that we are mixing starches and proteins, right? And then you're going to get your vegetables as well, so that it's, again, still trying to go for that nutritious pairing, I guess, is what I'll call it. Yeah.
so so when you had taken us through the facility and you kind of showed us the shopping list, how do you guys determine, I guess, what goes on the list?
That is a good question. So I don't actually do that portion of it myself. I have a colleague of mine, her name is Alice. She's the one who decides what's going to go onto the website. And a lot of it just really has to do with if we've had the opportunity to sort through and do a count and see, how much of what we have. And then we're able to put it onto, and that's also where our volunteers come in handy. We need help with counting, even just like our inventory sometimes. And they help us out with that on the quieter days, just so that we can immediately, once we've counted and sorted, put it up on the shelf. So I don't think there's any particular rhyme or reason behind it, but yeah. I hope I'm not simplifying Alice's job. She's sitting right here. Love you, Alice.
So you guys have kind of a smooth operation as far as we have the orders, everyone with the shopping carts going around picking everything up. Are the orders that everybody places kind of the same every week? Like, say if I go and put in an order with you guys, do I get the same things every week, or is there, okay, this is menu A for this week, next week will be menu B, or
So, that just depends exclusively on the client. We have people who will only just order rice from us, and then obviously get the veggies. Or we have people who will order, spam or 2 cans of spam. So I think it just depends on the families and the individuals in question and what they need. I'm very impressed actually with that. I think because of that, the platform that we operate on, people are able to select exactly what it is that they need. I don't know if people are getting food from other sources. I couldn't speak to that, but typically people do diversify as far as they can when they order. It's not always the same thing, but again, that's an individual preference. If you wanted rice every week and we had rice every week to give, then go for it.
Pet food?
Yes, actually. So, and thank you. Actually, I'm really excited about this because we started off obviously solely human food distribution, I'll say. And now we are branching out. So we do have dog food. I think when you guys came, we had like the 35-pound bags that we had received that we were giving out. And we have now these little 2-pound little cute little bags that we're giving out as well. So anything that we get in bulk, we also have been giving out hygiene kits and disposable masks that were donated to us, hand sanitizer as well, especially now with everything going on. I think people really do need those kinds of supplies. And we're trying to offer more than just food as far as possible. Diapers we had, which I think a lot of parents appreciated, which, so we try to do what we can to support because we get it.
So operationally, I guess, how do you determine, I guess, how do you, if somebody's going to place an order with you guys, how do you kind of make sure that somebody's not, like, say if I were to put in an order and ask for, say, like 5 bags of rice or 10 bags of dog food, right? Like, how do you kind of prevent against like hoarding and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So we do have limits that are set on the back end. So your more popular items like juices, rice, cereal, trying to think of other stuff that we give, but we do try to set a limit, even with the face masks, because like I said, this is, I mean, we all know what's going on right now. With the face masks, we also make sure to set a limit. So it's 2 per family, or 2 per individual, so that people can't just, click 10 face masks and then suddenly we've run out and, Chris joins an hour later and like there's nothing left. So we try to set limits on those kinds of items just to keep it as fair as possible.
And I'm sorry if I'm just keep like firing questions, jumping around all over the place, but
Go for it.
your volunteers, I guess how many because you had a bunch of volunteers there that one day that I was there. Is it kind of the same amount of volunteers every day, or is it some days and others? And
yeah, so some days is more than others. I think so. We've been trying to kind of figure out what the optimal number is, because we want to make sure we don't have too many people in the warehouse at any given time, especially again now. And so it depends on how many orders we receive in the week, and we can kind of anticipate what the flow is going to be, and thereby anticipate how many people we need to have, to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Because one thing we don't want is to have volunteers overworked. We want people to have fun. Because I have been on those days as a volunteer. I've been there when like there's like a few people in the warehouse and it's just going and you just barely, you can't even breathe because you're just so busy. So we don't want to overwhelm anybody. So we try to make sure that we have enough staff, I say staff, enough volunteers to help us out as best as possible. But typically we have maybe, I'll say on average, maybe about 30 people. So this is including staff, volunteers that are outside managing the traffic flow or helping control the traffic flow. We have the folks in the driveway that are helping to coordinate the movement of the traffic within the courtyard, within the pantry's property, right? And then we have the folks that help us with loading the items that people are coming to pick up, and that's a whole team. We have a team that helps with preloading the carts that we use to pick up the orders, right? So that's where all the vegetables and the produce go in. And we have another team that's dedicated exclusively to picking those items up off the shelf and putting them inside the carts to take outside. And so we try to make sure that we have enough people to handle each portion of what needs to be done, so that there's a constant flow and we're not holding up traffic and, interrupting our neighbors, but that people get their food, they don't have to wait in line and they just go. So it's amazing what our leadership has actually been able to create in as far as a system, because I just walked into it, and it's pretty incredible, and it's only been a year. I want to point that out. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's that flow, that everything from the cars going down the street, because it's kind of a narrow street. You guys are kind of hidden in there somewhere, but everything from, I guess, the traffic lining up into your parking lot, going around and having everybody loading it. And then on the inside, right, you have the distribution, the staging area where all the orders are pulled. It's very efficient. I was actually really surprised to see that. That was, not surprising at all, but it was, it was very organized and very very professionally managed. So that was props for that. That was great.
Thank you. I'll share that with the team.
On an average day, though, how many volunteers do you guys at a minimum need to have?
At minimum, I literally worked this out maybe 3 weeks ago. Minimum, we would need about 20, I think it was like 24 people. So that's like a very quiet day. Or because what we do is we also portion it out into shifts, right? So a distribution day on Tuesdays and Fridays is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we have divided that into 2 shifts. Our volunteers have to arrive at 9 so that we can get set up and ready to go. And we've divided it into 2 shifts. So basically 9 to 12 and 12 to 3, because we do understand that people can't, not everybody can stay the whole day. We get that. So we try to respect people's time. So in the mornings, that's always the busiest because that's when we have both the cars and the walk-ins coming up. And so it can be frantic. So that's where we need to have at least about, I would always try to shoot for about maybe 30. That's when you have the most. And then in the afternoons when it starts to slow down, because now we have fewer walk-ins coming in, and even just the car traffic, typically there's like a lull between like 12 and noon, and then it picks 12 and noon, 12 and 1. I promise I can tell the time. So between 12 and 1, there's a little bit of a lull, and then it picks up again for that last hour, but not enough that it requires like a full hands-on deck, thing. So maybe that's when we would lower it down to about 20 people.
And I'm sorry, those were just the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday days, or was that also include the Monday and Monday?
Mondays and Thursdays, because it's just exclusively shopping, or putting the orders together. That is 15, 16 people. Yeah.
And then for those days, what time do you usually have everybody show up for the Monday, Thursday?
Same shift times are always the same, 9 to 12. We tend to finish a little bit before 12 most of the time. I think the guys that we have a lot of regulars that come on those days, and they've kind of got it down to a T. So they they just zoom through those aisles. But I think since I've been here, there's maybe been like one day where we stayed a little after 12, just because we had a backlog of orders that we hadn't gotten to, I think it was the previous week, that needed to be filled to be picked up the next day. But for the most part, we're normally done by 11:30ish.
Leo, do you have anything so far? I feel bad because I'm just like hogging up the camera time, and I'm hogging up, and I know everybody in YouTube really does not want to hear my voice.
I did have a couple of questions. I mean, during the last year and a half, with the COVID pandemic, one of the things that keeps getting mentioned frequently on the news is that it's really highlighted the problem with people not having good access to broadband internet kind of access. And you had mentioned that you use a website-based system for your ordering, and that you have a special kind of system in place to address people who don't have good access to that. But could you talk a little more about that and how well that works, and if you think there's any gaps that you're seeing and how to potentially fill those gaps? I hate to put you on the spot on that, but it's one of those things that's really problematic for, I think, a lot of people. I mean, I've got many friends who are reasonably well off, and they do not have, particularly older friends, don't have really good access or don't know how to use some of the access to websites and stuff. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I can definitely draw on my experience as a volunteer in this regard, because I used to be very involved with our clients as a volunteer. I used to help out with the walk-ins and, dealing with questions and issues and that. So one thing I noticed is that a lot of our older population, their kids are actually the key for them to be able to, place orders and come and pick up. And, when you're having a conversation with them about, oh, ma'am, you can only shop every 7 days, or they know nothing about this. They're just like, what? So I've had a few phone calls with, their kids to say, oh, this is how this works, and you need to make sure to do this, and you need to make sure to do that. And that's, one side of it. And then the other side is people who just have no one to rely on. And that is where, our volunteers come in and they are able to help. So I think, and at this point, I have to find out actually real details, but I'm imagining what's probably happening is that people who have neighbors who are telling them that we have this service and are getting them the information to give us a call. Once that's happened, we register them, give them an account, and every week going forward, we have our volunteers calling to help them, walk them through, this is what we have available, what would you like, explaining, I've heard Jima say, trying to think of something and describe like what the contents is. Oh, we have give me a food item, anything that pops in my head, anything. We've got chili cheese Cheetos or something. And then she'll kind of describe to them what it is, and they get to decide whether or not they want the item, ice cream, whatever it is. And she walks them through it very delicately, very patiently. I think one of the issues that we were talking about recently is actually getting the food to the people, right? Because we recognize, again, transportation isn't, not everyone has access to that. So we've been trying to think up ways, because we can't deliver the food ourselves. We just don't have that kind of manpower. And I don't know if we're in a position to even ask our volunteers to take that kind of responsibility on. But trying to find ways where we can get food to people who don't have anybody to help them. And, what do we need to partner with organizations, or, how do we do this so that everybody gets what they need, right? And I think that's going to be a future conversation, a future thing to work out. But we really, we try the best that we can. And I think, what was that called? There was a service, I think it was called, oh man, and it lasted for a year, that they had drivers assigned to people. I cannot remember the name of it right now, but they had drivers assigned and to one individual, and that person would go out and run that individual's errands. Don't know why I can't remember what it's called. Does that sound familiar to you? Have you heard of that?
The only thing I can think of is like a Meals on Wheels type of service.
Man, I cannot remember what it's called now. But it had like a Meals on Wheels kind of vibe, except for these people would help with if you need to go, to get your medication from a pharmacy. You'd have this one person that would do that for you, dedicated to you exclusively. But it only lasted for you. I think CARES Act money ran out. I just cannot remember what it was called right now. But that's the kind of thing that we're just trying to figure out how to make sure people, in a way that's also affordable, because you can't, courier your food. That's something that we're looking into.
Yeah, it seems like maybe partnering with an organization where most of your people evidently are coming from West Side, with a couple West Side organizations, a community center, church, or something like that.
Yeah,
might make sense. Then they could do a run.
Yeah, because I think because I know like the city, right, with their elderly affairs program, they were funding things like Meals on Wheels or deliveries of food and things like that to Kupuna, but
not everybody's a Puna, but they just can't,
right. And I wonder if even something, do you guys have the financial resources to be able to enter into some type of an agreement with a company or a service that can do deliveries to order deliveries to?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. I would imagine not at this stage, again, just based on the fact that it's been a year. We've literally doubled our employee base from 2 people to 4. So, and that's a big celebration. So I don't think we're at the point that we could do that, right? Maybe next year when, who knows? But yeah, I think right now it's all just about partnerships and just trying to find people that our goals are kind of the same, but maybe we have different offerings, right? And we can work together to figure it out. Yeah.
Where does your funding come from primarily?
We do have a lot of grants. We have private donors. I don't deal with that much, so I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't give you like details or anything, but I know we do get a lot of grants.
And that covers like the inventory, that covers the operational costs too, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I forgot to say religious organizations as well. Churches have been very kind to us, very, very, very kind. I think, in fact, actually to get this place running, we had a very huge donation from one of the local churches that helped to get everything set up, which was just perfect.
So this is kind of an odd question maybe, but when you do this, are there other things besides the food distribution that you notice is being missed by the social services and safety nets for people that come in?
Man, that's a very good question. I'm not too sure how to answer that question. I think that would be more our volunteers that are more client facing, but because it's kind of weird. So how it works when we are distributing the food, when we are meeting with our clients, right, is you're only engaging with people who really can get here. And so you're not seeing the other side of it, of the people who can't. So I really wouldn't be able to answer that, because from what I'm seeing, you know, we've got people who can take the handy van and they arrive and they pick up their food, handy van picks them up and they go. And so that would seem to me like that's a social service that's working. You know, I wouldn't be able to say what's being missed, to be honest. That's a very good question though.
And somewhat related, although admittedly quite distantly related, is, you know, there are a number of people who are trying to help, particularly during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Do you as an organization kind of get together with other similar kinds of organizations and talk about how you complement each other and how you can do that? How does that work?
We do. So we are trying to, that's actually what I've been working on right now, is reaching out to organizations with at least, if not similar, compatible interests, to see how we can, like I said, help each other out, how we can eat, if it's just, you know, sharing with our clients what other organizations have, and as far as programs or, you know, that kind of thing, and vice versa. We've been trying to, I will tell you once I know how that works, because we're still starting out. But I think one thing I can say, just based on the conversations that I've had, is that a lot of people are very excited at the prospect of partnering up, of working together, of coming together, because we get to do more with more hands, right? Like, I think the last thing that you want is for organizations to see each other as competition, because that defeats the purpose and that minimizes the effectiveness of the work that we're trying to do. And so when we come together, we get to help more people, we get to do more, we have more resources combined. So ask me this question next year, Loyal, because I know you will be one of our most regular volunteers. Thank you very much. And in a year, I can tell you exactly how things are panning out and what that looks like. But yeah, I'm not going to mention names of organizations because we're still having conversations, but I'm hoping that we will be able to definitely work with a broader population, not just exclusively people who are food insecure.
And has the city and county and the state been involved in trying to help you guys?
I wouldn't know that. I'm sorry. I don't know that answer to that question. Again, 2 months. I am not sure. Ask me that question another 6 months and then I'll be able to let you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Your volunteers, I guess, what types of backgrounds, or is it a particular demographic that's your volunteers? Like, do you have high schoolers as your volunteers, or college kids, or young professionals, so forth?
It's actually quite a mix. So for example, our Monday, Thursday crowd tends to be retirees or people who at least start their jobs after 12. And then the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, we did have a lot of college, high school aged people helping us out, you know, because of the vacations. But for the most part, it is a good mix of people. So we've had military people come in and help us out every now and again. We have had young professionals or professional organizations come in and help us, and they tend to come in groups. Also a mix of retirees, and we have had people who, you know, some people just have lost jobs and they are in between and they're just trying to figure it out, and they come in and spend time with us in any capacity that you have. Like, we appreciate it. Yeah.
So, so as far as the volunteer opportunity goes, it is Monday through Friday, between 9 and 3.
Yeah, that's the safest way to put it. Yeah, but you are actually able to access our volunteer schedule online. So if you go to thepantry.org and click on the volunteer tab, we'd love it if you register, but you don't have to. You can scroll right down to the bottom of the page, and I think it says to volunteer now or something like that. Click here, something like that, and it'll take you to the schedule, and you'll actually be able to see the shift times, and anywhere there's like an empty space, so that everything is in columns. Where there's an empty space and no name, you can fill your name in. And we just prefer that you register, because that way I can send you information so you know what to prepare, what, how to dress, what not to do, that kind of thing, where to park. So it's always best to register. It's easier to get hold of you that way. Also, if we have to close for some reason, like right now, pretty exciting. We just got additional shelves added to our warehouse. So we have been closed since Thursday. We actually suspended shopping Monday, so we have a lot to catch up. But we are adding additional shelving just for storage space, as well as, you remember, Chris, how the orders were stacked. Just additional shelving for that as well, to make more room. So we actually do have a few slots if anybody's available tomorrow and they want to come check it out, from 12 to 3. I think last I saw we had maybe 4 slots left if you want to see how the warehouse looks. And all we'll be doing basically is just shopping from 9 a.m. we start until 3 p.m. So we broke that up into 2 shifts. And I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh, signing up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So it's very simple, very easy. Just put your name in. And but yeah. Oh, I was saying that if we close, we need to be able to get hold of you to let you know. So today was supposed to be a distribution day, but because of the construction going on, I don't know if you can hear I assume it's a drill that's going off in the background. We're putting the shelving back on top of the brackets, I'll call them. So we had to close because we just had to move everything off the floor.
So how much more capacity are those added shelves going to accommodate?
I don't know. I think it'd be easier to tell once everything is on. And because once I'm done with this call, I have to go back into the warehouse and sort of reorganize everything and see what it is. But I think order-wise anyway, we should be able to put up maybe another, which doesn't sound like much, but it actually really is maybe another 50 orders on those shelves. So that's going to be nice. Plus we'll have more inventory space. So if you remember, Chris, it was like 4 aisles, and we had the ones going against the wall, I think had maybe like 3 shelves, and there were some that had 2 shelves. Do you remember that?
Right. So
it's okay if you don't.
On the left side was the 3, right? And then in that aisle here were the 3, and then on this side was the 2.
It was the 2. Yeah. So everything now is 3. So we'll have more space for the shopping items, which means we'll probably be able to put more on sale, more diversity. And we've created space as well. Sometimes we get like bins of I'm going to say random items that you can't necessarily store because it's an odd shape. So it's not like stackable. And so we've created space to allow for those kinds of bins to fit better. And then we have just 3 shelves everywhere else for the for the orders that we put together. So it should be, I'm imagining 50 might be a little bit little, maybe 100 more orders. I don't know. I have to go see, but definitely a lot more space. Next time you come, it's going to look like a completely different warehouse. Like, where am I? What is this?
Yeah, I guess 50, I would think 100, between 50 and 100, right? Because it would depend on the order size too, right? Because some was just like a box, some of them were 2 boxes. So
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't know if anybody can see. The way I'm kind of looking down. I'm looking at Loyal down there to see
if he has a question.
If he has a question.
Me too.
No, I'm good. I got my major questions answered already. It's just interesting to listen to the system that you have put together, which does sound quite nice.
I mean, it is. I think, like I said, when the first time I ever volunteered here was around the time that the pantry opened. It was, I think, May 2020. And the system that was in place then is completely different to the system that's in place now. So it's actually pretty incredible to see. So back in those days, if, for example, somebody would come with an order number that hadn't been fulfilled, we actually had separate people go out and fulfill that order and then take it out. And now what we are doing is, if that's where the substitution boxes come in, because we just don't have that kind of time anymore to go separately, like put somebody's order together when we've got like between 300 to 400 people come on Tuesdays and Fridays. So with that kind of capacity, we just can't ask people to separate and go, and because it slows down the flow, it slows down the traffic. People get, people are people. Some days are good, some days are not. And on a not good day, if you're waiting for somebody to get their food when you've got your food and you're trying to get out, you've got an appointment or whatever, that's just a problem. So we're trying to keep things flowing. So, we just don't have that kind of time anymore to go, go handpick everything and then say, here you go. But that was a different time. There were less clients. And I remember the days were much slower too. And now it's just like some days you'll come in and it'll be like, oh, we can breathe today. What's happening? Where is everybody? And then, you'll come in on a Friday and just be slammed and be like, whoa, where's everybody coming from? What's going on? Don't people need to take a break? So it's fun. It's a lot of work. If you want to get your steps in, I promise you will. I've actually been tallying my steps, especially since I started working here, because I have to make sure that, sometimes we have volunteers all the way up at the gate at Fort Shafter to make sure that that intersection doesn't get jammed up with traffic, because it can get that busy. And so I have to walk all the way up that hill and then, come back down and check on all my outsiders and make sure everybody's okay. Everybody's staying hydrated. Everyone's got sunscreen. Do you need sunglasses? What's happening? And then come in and walk around the warehouse and make sure everything's okay. Then check, like the driveways, everybody okay? And, help out where I can help out if I need to help out. It's, yeah. So 15,000 steps. I'm well on my way. Like, so it's good exercise. I'll say that much. A lot of lifting. So I was like, who needs a gym membership when I work at the pantry?
Yeah, Loyal, it's I was gonna say, make the comment that I think as we're discussing the process that they go through as far as the distribution goes, it's one thing to say it, but to actually see it in person is a lot more it's a lot more dynamic, and then it actually looks better than just to say it. And it's really a sight to see.
Well, I'm sure I'll get to see it at some point.
I hope so.
Try to think.
Sorry, someone just walked in.
I was going to ask as far as the volunteers go, do you prefer that you have the volunteers coming consistently, or if somebody can just come in like one day and then maybe they can come in a few weeks later or something like that? Does that work for you guys as far as the volunteers, or like I said, do you prefer them to be consistent, every once a week or twice a week, days kind of thing?
I mean, consistency is ideal because it's easier to plan. We know that, you'll be here. Like I already know who my Tuesday people are, for example, like the core group. But this is where it's tricky, is that sometimes with our consistent guys, if they don't let us know in time that they are not going to be able to make it, then suddenly now we have to kind of scramble to figure out who's going to do what, right? So we do prefer the consistency, but also understand that people, either have jobs or there's circumstances that don't allow for people to be consistent. So we don't want to turn anybody away, because any help is good help. But if you can be consistent, we'd love it if you could give us one day a week. That would be amazing. But understand if it's not possible, it's okay. We still love you. You'll still be part of the family. It's all good.
Then how does the the resumption of schools, how did that affect your volunteer turnout, if it has at all?
It actually, thank you, Chris. That's a great question. And it really has. It has. So I would never have thought it when I'm looking at the like at our scheduling, that a majority of people that would come on Tuesdays were actually college, high school age people. So right now where we are is we're trying to rebuild our Tuesday volunteer base. So I've been making a lot of calls, sending a lot of emails and a lot of texts to the people that we have in our database to say, hey guys, we still exist, come see us. But recognizing that we need to, you know, fresh blood, because most people are probably back at work right now. Our volunteer base isn't going to be the same as it was, you know, I'll say 6 months ago. And so we're trying to partner with, even with that, trying to partner with organizations that can help us with volunteers. So with larger groups, we try to keep it to about 6 people per, I'll say, organization, just to make it that it's easier if for whatever reason there needs to be a cancellation, to make it easier for us to try fill those empty spots. Because can you imagine if 11 people cancel, like where are you going to find 11 people overnight? That's impossible. So we try to keep it to 6 people, but have made allowances in the past. So it's not like, you know, a dead and fast rule, but if it's your first time, especially, and we're getting to know each other, we prefer 6. But yeah, so we have been hard hit, especially on the Tuesdays. If you can, please sign up for a Tuesday shift, especially next week. We really, really need the help. But you'll see when you look on the schedule, actually, the most hardest hit days, and really it is Tuesday that and that's a big distribution day, right? It's what, 9, like I said, 10 to 2. So that's the 300, 400 people coming. And yeah, we need help.
Great. I think those are all the questions that I have. Anything else? Are you good?
Yeah, you answered all my questions quite nicely.
Thank you. Thank you.
So that was very nice to hear.
Thanks so much.
Leon, last comments, thoughts, anything that you'd like to share also?
I would just like to say thank you very much for having me. I had a good time. Loyola was wonderful meeting you. And honestly, I really do hope we get to see more of the Cyber Lions. I have now officially met 4 people and I hope to meet the rest of you, and just look forward to seeing you guys here. It'll be great.
Good. And thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you very much, Loyola. I appreciate that.
Great. So we got, can you again just give us kind of a brief, where can we go to take a look at volunteer opportunities?
Yeah, and actually too, if you want to see what's on sale, you go to thepantry.org, and if you go to the volunteer tab and scroll down, you'll be able to register and access our volunteer schedule where you can sign up. It's very simple. And if you want to see what is for sale, if you go to the shop tab and scroll down, you'll eventually see the images of the items that we have. And it does change. I want to say every day. I think it changes every week. Every day. That's Alice. She says it changes every day. So there you go. It changes every day. Thanks. And you can kind of get an idea of what it is that we are serving to our clients.
Okay. All right. That being said, ladies and gentlemen watching on YouTube, thank you, Leona, for joining us.